In 1941, Japan's own leaders acknowledged that a prolonged war against the industrial might of the United States was unwinnable. Their own assessments predicted a grueling conflict. Yet on December 7th, they attacked Pearl Harbor. Why would a nation choose a war it fully expected to lose? It seems like an act of absolute madness, a historical paradox. But what if it wasn't? Game theory reveals it as a calculated move in a high-stakes game, where the only strategic option considered worse than fighting a potentially losing war was not fighting at all. Section 1. The premise. We typically view war as the ultimate breakdown of reason, a descent into chaos where diplomacy fails. But game theory, the mathematical study of strategic decision-making, presents a deeply unsettling alternative. It reframes conflict not as chaos, but as a bargaining process that has gone horribly wrong. War represents a fundamental failure to strike a mutually acceptable deal. Understanding this failure reveals how war can emerge as a rational choice for leaders who believe they have no better alternative. Section 2. The bargaining game. Imagine two people arguing over a pizza. If they can agree on a fair division, a peaceful bargain is effortless. But what if they can't agree? They could fight. The problem is the fight itself ruins the pizza. War is always costly. It annihilates lives and consumes treasure for all involved. Because war is so destructive, a peaceful deal should always be possible. This theoretical sweet spot, a deal both sides should logically prefer over conflict, is what game theorists call the bargaining range. So the puzzle is, why do nations ever fight, ruining the pizza, when a deal exists that would leave both better off? Section 3. The rational choice for war. So why couldn't the US and Japan find a deal? Game theory offers two powerful explanations. First, the commitment problem. The US had imposed a crippling oil embargo on Japan. Japan could have negotiated, but they couldn't trust the US to honor any deal long-term. With no global arbiter to enforce peace, Japan feared the US would just make new demands a year later, when they were weaker. Fighting, even with a slim chance of success, felt like the only way to retain control of their destiny. The second reason is incomplete information. Nations conceal their true capabilities and resolve. Japan gambled that a surprise attack would shatter American morale, leading to a swift peace. The US, on the other hand, underestimated Japan's desperation. Both nations made monumental bets on flawed assumptions about the other. Section 4. The logic of conflict. These two issues explain why rational leaders choose war. Incomplete information turns diplomacy into a high-stakes poker game. You can't be sure if an opponent is bluffing, so you risk either being exploited by folding or stumbling into a catastrophe by calling. The commitment problem is driven by fear of future power shifts. If you believe an adversary is growing stronger, you can't trust any promise they make today. This creates a powerful incentive for a preventive war, fighting now while you have a chance, rather than waiting to be overpowered. Game theory demonstrates that war isn't always born from madness, but can be the grim, logical outcome of a terrifying calculus. It's a tragedy that stems not from insanity, but from the rational consequences of mistrust and uncertainty. If you find value in this analysis, subscribe and let me know in the comments what other historical conflicts could be explained by these bargaining failures. And that leaves a final thought. If war can be a rational calculation, is it possible to change the equation? Can we build systems of trust so robust that peace becomes the only logical choice?